Hey guys, welcome to the studio. Today we'll be creating a project that is inspired by the artist P.A. Mondrian. If you don't know about Mondrian, check out his artwork because he's got some amazing stuff. He had a series where he used basically the primary colors, and so that's what we'll be doing today. We'll be using primary colors, learning exactly what they are, and creating a nice, neat work of art in the style of Mondrian. I used paint for this project, but I've also done it before using crayons, so if you don't have access to paints, just remember you can always improvise and use something else. So now I'll show you how to get started. The supplies you'll need for today's project are red, blue, and yellow paint. You'll need scissors and glue, a pencil, a ruler, some black paper, as well as a sheet of white paper, and then water, a paintbrush, and a paper towel to dry your brush. And so to get started today, we'll be using the white paper, the ruler, and the pencil. And this project is inspired by the artist Mondrian. And when you look at his work, he oftentimes has very neat straight lines, and so that's why we're using a ruler. And we're going to be dividing our paper into sections like he did. He often had squares and rectangles, and I'll be doing some slanted lines to kind of change it up and add some different shapes in there. But basically, you're the artist and you can be as creative as you want with your lines. Draw a design that's interesting to you. Your lines can intersect, they can go all the way across the page, or they can just go like from one line to another line for a short area. And so I'm just going to continue adding lines until I feel like I have an interesting design on the page. Once you're satisfied with the amount of lines on your paper, then you'll be ready to move on to the painting process. And for the painting process, we are going to be using primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. And primary colors are your basic colors from which all the other colors can be mixed. So as long as you've got red, yellow, and blue, you can mix purple, you can mix green, orange, you can even make blacks, browns. So really those are the only colors that you're required to have to get all the other colors. The other thing we need to consider when we start painting is balance. In Mondrian's artwork, he has a nice sense of balance. And balance is a principle of art that just deals with how lines, shapes, and colors are arranged. And so we already considered balance somewhat when we drew our lines, but as we add color, it becomes even more important. If I placed all of my colors on one side, the artwork would seem heavy on this side and lighter on this side. And we want our eyes to move around the paper, and so we want to balance out our colors in different places to keep it interesting. And so I will start now, and I'm going to start with some red paint. And because I want the eyes to move, or our eyes to move around the paper, I'm going to start in the top left corner and add some bright red paint in this area. And this project is great for practicing with paint, practicing your craftsmanship, and making it look nice and neat. When you get to your straight lines, it sometimes helps if you just drag your brush in a straight line. It can help you get a very nice straight edge. The great thing is, even if you get outside of the lines and like bump out, later we'll be gluing black strips of paper to cover the pencil lines, and it will cover up any mistakes that you make. So that is an added plus of this project. And so from this point, I will just continue to add primary colors in different sections. I will be leaving a lot of sections white, but we'll probably paint in at least 5 or 6 sections with the red, blue, or yellow, and I will alternate them so I have some of each. So at this point, I've finished painting in the primary colors, and I've left some sections white, similar to how Mondrian did in his work. The difference is right now it looks unfinished. And so that's why we'll be using the black lines like Mondrian did to give it a completed look. And so at this point, I will take my scissors and I'm going to cut just as straight as I can strips of black paper. And they're pretty thin strips. And it can save you time if you just kind of sit and cut a few strips at a time, so then you've got more to work with. And so I'll start off with 3. And now I will take my glue bottle. And our glue, sometimes we're tempted to put it on the black strips of paper, but actually that causes us problems. And then it drips glue everywhere and makes a mess. And so the best way to do it is to run the glue along your pencil lines, and you don't want to get too much. Just a very thin line of glue. And then you will basically measure your strips and see it overlaps into the blue, but in a minute we'll solve that problem. And then right here I'll have to take my scissors and cut. I'll line that up. There's my first black line. It kind of encloses the white and makes it look like a complete shape instead of just an area that wasn't finished on your paper. And so now I could take my next piece and I could run along here. And so I will draw a thin line with the glue. And you'll do this anywhere there was a pencil line or where it changes colors. And then I will place that on top. And notice I ran out at the bottom. I can slide over a little bit, but I'm still a little bit short. And that'll happen, and you just kind of piece it together. And so I will take a little piece of this line. And I've already got some glue, so I'll just piece it in there. Next to that one. And then I'll just continue on. Each place where there's a line or it changes colors, I'll add a black line. And also when you finish, you can flip your paper over and see on the back where that black paper is and just cut straight along the edge of the paper, and it makes your lines nice and neat at the edges. And so I will do most of that as I finish my project. But I just wanted you to see how that looks. And so now I will continue adding black strips anywhere they're needed. Working on your Mondrian-inspired work of art. I'd love for you to share your results with me on social media. The links are in the description below. Also, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe for more creative content. Thanks.